G'day Internet, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful black walnut desktop to go on this pre-existing sit-stand desk. It's a pretty simple build, but there are a few good tips and tricks for anyone looking to make their own solid wood desktop. There's not much more to say about it, let's get into the build. Well, that's all the timber I need for the desktop. It's probably the most amount of money I've spent on timber ever. I actually find selecting timber to be probably the most stressful part of the whole process. You can't really tell what you're buying until you've got it through the planer. And by then, it's too late, you've already spent the money. All right, first step, we need to trim these down to be close to the size of the desk we're going to make. And then I'm going to take it over to the planer and jointer and clean them up. When you start with rough lumber, this stage always takes longer than you think. Jointing and planing isn't glamorous, but it's what turns those wonky, twisted boards into proper flat stock you can actually work with. There's something super satisfying about that first clean pass on the planer though. You go from this rough, fuzzy board to seeing the grain pop and the walnut come alive. It's one of my favourite moments in any build. And if you don't have a jointer or a thicknesser in your shop, don't stress. A lot of local lumberyards can surface your boards for you, so you can still get that perfectly flat, square stock without the big machines. Now I have all the boards cleaned up on three sides, I can run them through the table saw to clean up the final edge and bring them down to the correct width. This desk is going to be 850mm or roughly 33.5 inches wide, so I need each board to be approximately 142mm or 5 3/5 of an inch. Alright, all the wood is planed up, cut to size, and it's looking beautiful. I'm just about ready to start joining it together, but this is my chance to look through at all the blemishes and colours on it and work out the sides I want up, the sides I want down, and change the orders so it looks cohesive. Luckily this wood is pretty beautiful anyway. I don't think there's much I can do by moving things around, but I'm going to have a look anyway. Now that I'm happy with the layout of it, I need to mark them so I can keep that layout. Once I've marked them, I can go ahead and put some dominoes in there and then we can glue it up. Even though I only just cleaned these boards up, the wood can easily move, making it difficult to get a perfect join when gluing the boards together. To combat this, I'm using my domino as it's super fast and accurate, but you could easily do this with a biscuit joiner or a doweling jig. Also, I've made a whole video on why you don't need a domino, so feel free to check that out too. Now we can glue the desktop together, and I'm using Titebond 3 here purely because it takes longer to set up, so I have more time to work with. With the dominoes in place, it's a pretty foolproof process, but it is a good idea to have a rubber mallet handy to coerce those boards together, especially having used the tight setting on the domino. After the glue had dried, I could take the desktop out of clamps and cut it down to final length of 1700mm or roughly 67 inches. A track saw is ideal for this situation, but a circular saw with a straight edge will do just as well. Alright, we're all glued together and cut down to final size. We could call it a day there, sand it, put some finish on it and call it good, but let's make it a little bit more interesting. The first thing I want to do is add a small cutout here for where the person sits. And to do that, I'm going to need to make some sort of pattern. Now for smaller patterns, I might print them out with my 3D printer or cut them out with my laser engraver, but this is too big for either of those, so I'm just going to do it how I used to do it before I had all those fancy tools. And that is to get a thin piece of MDF and make the pattern on there first, and then we can use that pattern to transfer it onto the workpiece. So I've got my MDF, let's try and make this curve pattern. I've got the ply clamped in place exactly where I need it on the table, and I've marked out the outer edges and the middle. So now what we need to do is bend another piece of MDF into that shape. But I don't have 3 hands, so I'm going to clamp a block on each side of here to hold it in place, and then I'll push it up and draw my curve round, and I should be good. With the curve drawn onto the MDF, I can use my jigsaw to cut along the line, getting as close as I can without actually hitting the line. So the reason I use a thin piece of MDF for my pattern is it's really easy to finesse into the shape I want. Getting a nice cut with something like a jigsaw is near impossible, and it's not the kind of cut you want to be sanding down on a thick piece of wood. So making the pattern first and sanding that down to exactly what you want and then transferring that onto your workpiece is much preferable. In terms of sanding this down, one technique I like to use is just to get a bit of that same MDF, the thin stuff that we can bend, glue a bit of sandpaper onto it, and that can bend and can form into the curve I'm trying to sand. So we'll just do a bit of sanding, and then we can transfer that to the workpiece. With my pattern all done, I can take it back to the desktop, and making sure I've got it lined up in the correct position, I can transfer the curve onto the workpiece. And just like before, I use my jigsaw to roughly cut out the curve, again getting as close to the line as I dare without actually touching it. Finally, I can clamp the pattern back in place, and using a router with a flush trim bit, I can trim the desk down to the exact line of the pattern, getting that perfect curve. After giving the curve a quick sand, the next thing I wanted to do was cut all the corners off. Aesthetically, I think it looks nice, and practically, you're less likely to walk into them and give yourself a thigh bruise. Again, a track saw is a great tool for this, but a circular saw with a straight edge will do just as well. With the final profile of the desk done, I wanted to add a chamfer along the bottom of the desk with the chamfer bit that has a bottom mounted bearing. Adding the chamfer ties in nicely with the cut off corners and makes the top look a little more refined. The desk is all sharp edges except for the curve of the cutout, so adding the chamfer along this helps tie the curve into the rest of the aesthetic too. I need to add 3 holes to the back of the desk to route cables through. And to start the process, I'm going to use a hole saw, but I want to ensure that the holes are dead straight. To do this, I use a trick of using a drill press to drill a straight hole into a piece of wood. Then I can use that hole to drill a pilot hole for the hole saw into the desk. Now, knowing the pilot hole is dead straight, I can use my hole saw to cut out the hole. When drilling a hole with a hole saw, you never want to drill all the way through to the other side, as doing so would likely blow out the wood and you'd be left with a nasty looking exit wound. Instead, you want to drill maybe 3/4 of the way through, flip your workpiece over and drill from the other side. And this is where the pilot hole comes in handy again, as it takes all the guesswork out of where to put the drill on the other side. Now at this point you might be thinking, hey Chris, that's going to leave a pretty rough hole, and you'd be right. But never fear, that's not the end of the process. To make sure we have a nice smooth hole, I'm going to use a perfect 60mm hole in a thin sheet of MDF as a pattern, and then I can use a pattern bit to widen the hole to the exact size of the pattern. My particular pattern bit isn't big enough to do the entire depth of the hole in one go, but because the top of the hole is now the exact size I want, I can remove the pattern and use the hole itself as a pattern to trim the bottom of the hole. Before I do anything else, I want to give the desk a quick sand. I start with 120 grit and then I switch to 220 grit. To make sure I sand evenly, I scribble pencil all over the top and only sand in any one spot until the pencil is all gone. Now moving back to our cable holes, I don't want to leave them with a harsh edge on the top. So using a chamfer bit with a bottom mounted bearing, I give all 3 holes a light chamfer. So the hardware that comes with the base to attach it to the table is basically just these small self-tapping screws. Now I'm not super happy with using self-tapping screws into the tabletop. The primary reason I don't want to use self-tapping screws is because for any reason, if you ever need to unscrew it, transport it, maneuver it, whatever, and you need to take these in and out again, every time they come in and out, they have the potential to ruin that thread in the wood. So to combat that, we're going to use some threaded inserts. That means we can screw the bolt in and out as many times as we want and the thread will stay good. Now there's one other thing I'm a little bit concerned about with regards to attaching this base to the top, and that is seasonal wood movement. The way this is designed is this big metal piece here is screwed directly into the wood across the grain. Now if we get any seasonal wood movement, that could potentially cause the wood to tear itself apart. So the way to deal with seasonal wood movement for this kind of attachment is to have an oversized hole so the screw can actually move within the hole while still keeping downward pressure. Now the holes that these came with are, I think, a little bit small. They were probably okay for this screw. There's a little bit of movement there, but this M5 bolt I'm going to use is a little bit bigger and I don't feel like it gives us enough room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill out these holes slightly bigger to give us a little bit more wiggle room. There we go, we've got about 1.5 millimeters on either side of the bolt, which should be plenty enough to hold it. After drilling those holes out, I've revealed some bare metal here. And I'm no metal worker, but I figured if I've got bare metal there, I need to cover that so it doesn't get rusty. So I'm going to get some etching primer here, and I'm just going to spray it into a can and try and swab around inside those holes. Next, I need to mark out and drill the holes for the threaded inserts. And instead of trying to mark lines across the bottom of the desk, I cut a few shims that I can use to hold the base out from the edge of the desk. Then I can clamp the shims in place, butt the base against them, and use a hole punch or a drill bit to mark the position of all the holes. Now using the same trick again for drilling straight holes where you can't fit a drill press, I drill all the holes for the threaded inserts. The threaded inserts I'm using have a slight flare at the top, so I use a countersink bit to add a chamfer to the top of the holes to account for it. Then I'm ready to install all the inserts, which screw nicely in place with an Allen wrench. We're almost there, but before I can put it all together, I need to add some finish, and as usual I'm using Rubio Monocoat Pure, mainly because it's so easy to apply and gives a beautiful finish. I just rub it in with a Scotch-Brite pad, wait 5 or 10 minutes and then buff off any excess oil, and that's it. Now with the finish applied, I can finally attach to the base, and because I've already added those threaded inserts, attaching the base is just a simple matter of screwing all the bolts in place. And with the base firmly attached, I can bolt the legs in place too. Something tells me I didn't quite get the legs around the right way. It's not going to be the most stable desk either. I might need to change that. And finally, I can bolt the remote in place, which I'd also added threaded inserts for earlier. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The black walnut, as usual, just looks amazing. And the little design aspects around it just really make it pop. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I'll see you in the next one.